Welcome to Let's Cap. I am your host, Ronald Kabang, also known as Youcapper from Sportsmemo.com. I actually need to change that Twitter tag because it's now Youcapper Sports, not you underscore capper. So I changed that to 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 be the same as my IG and my YouTube page so that it's all the same. You know what I mean? So just a little branding thing. I gotta fix that. I'll fix that in a little bit. But yesterday, Chris, had a good show. You weren't there yesterday, but you were there on Monday. We profited on Monday. Yesterday, we profited once again. To myself, I went 4-1 yesterday, 2-0 in the college, 2-1 in the NBA. So hopefully, we just continue rolling here. I mean, we always talk about the second half of the season is where we're the strongest, right? So hopefully, we just take advantage of this while we can. We only got 30 games left for each team, so. Chris, how was your week yesterday? Or how was your day yesterday?
Yeah, I see. Yesterday was good, man. I was a rebound from AD away from finishing 4-1 as well. So finished 3-2 yesterday, but it was a pretty good day yesterday overall. We profited, like you said, once again. Not sure I see, but I you know what? I'm not even gonna jinx it, but I think it's a few days in a row where we've seen some profit. Dating back to last week. I got to go back and look at the actual tracker, but things
Mhm.
are starting to teams. I think teams are starting to reveal themselves. We're starting to get more trends and more data on these teams. The lines are going to get sharper, of course, but I think when we have the data RC, it just makes us more efficient. So really, really excited about the second half of the season. All-Star break is approaching as well. We know that the teams will start taking these games a lot more serious,
Yeah.
and I think we'll profit a lot. RC, I've talked about it before, but we're definitely gonna get there. Make units will be up, really, really soon, and I'm excited about it for sure.
Yeah, we also do. We were just talking right before the show about these big slates and how much we're not big fans of these big slates. What I was telling you was that we go into so much detail when we cap these games that it takes a lot of time to do them. And we do these shows, but we also do pre-work, right? There's a lot of pre-work involved here. On this show, what's cool about it though is we can miss some games and we could just break it down on the spot. And I think that's one thing that we're probably going to be doing today. We got a couple games that we looked at, but also a few games that we want to look at a little bit more and dive deeper into that we didn't really have time to do. Um, with that said, man, let's go into the slate here. First game up, I think that we want to talk about, or at least I want to talk about, is this Kings Spurs game because this is actually the only game that I've bet so far. Guys in the chat too as well. If you guys are watching, make sure that you leave some comments there about what games you want to see, any questions, any plays or picks that you have as well. I think we want to see those because it does help drive our conversation as we go through the games. Let me bring up my screen here. So we have killersports.com up. I think I was diving into the Suns here. We'll talk about that game later, but first game up here, the Spurs and the Kings here. Do you want to start, Chris, on this one while I bring some stuff up?
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of set the table. I see you get the Sacramento Kings coming in San Antonio. Sacramento's been playing well. I know that they had lost back-to-back games against the Toronto Raptors, and then they went. That was the last game of their homestand. Then they went into Minnesota, lost that game of the first kind of back-to-back situation.
Mhm.
But then they did clean up that mess and got the win against Minnesota 2 nights ago. They are 7-3 straight up, 6-3-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. So fairly decent. RC. I also think that they're one of the more profitable teams on the road against the spread. They're 14-8 on the road. This is the third game of a 6-game road trip for them as well. And I also noted that they had a clean injury report as well. Nobody on the
Yeah.
injury report. So it's one of the, yeah, I know you mentioned, RC, like already being able to have a play in on this game. And a lot of the times we're unable to put plays in because of injury report, manipulation and different things like
Exactly.
that. So I think that's important to mention as well. Opposite side for San Antonio, RC, they've been struggling recently, just 1-9 straight up, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games, coming off the 21-point home loss to the Washington Wizards. This is home game number 3 of 4 for them
Mhm.
as well, and they failed to cover in 5 straight games. So that's just kind of set the table, and I know I'll let you take back over.
Yeah, so some of the things that I looked at here, I locked in the under 244 here. Um, for the most part, we're seeing the Kings on the road, right? On the road here compared to at home. On the road, they average 114.5 per game. At home, if you look at how they do at home, they are averaging 123.6 per game. And they're also allowing more points at home as well. So their offense and defense they're giving up more points and they're allowing more points. If you go at home, sorry, on the road, they're allowing 114.8, so that's less than what they're allowing at home. The other part is if we look at them here on the road, and they're playing the second game on the road in a row. So not traveling from home to road, 11-2 to the under there. You can see that average points is around 227, and we have a total of 244. That's a huge gap there. Another thing that I looked at as well. If you look at the Spurs side and we look at them in season revenge games, 2-17 straight up, 6-13 ATS, 11-8 to the over, right? So that points towards the Spurs, towards the Kings on the spread and to win the game. The 11-8 to the over, right? I think it has to do with a lot of the totals being a lot lower. But if you look at the average points, 112.7, 124.6, it is high because it's in like the 237 range, but the total, again, like I said, is 244. And I think the most recent trends that I've seen, if we look at this total greater than or equal to 240, we're talking right before the show here that a lot of the between December and January, there was a cluster of overs that had to like force the books to adjust the totals. We've started to see consistent 240s with specific teams here, and the Spurs and the Kings were a couple of them. But if you look at towards the more recent games, look at all the cluster of unders. Sorry, let me filter this for just a single team. Cluster of unders here. This is 13 of the last 15 games with a total of 240 or more going under the total. So that's another thing that I think is going to continue to happen for a little bit until we start to see the books adjust again back down to under 240 for some of these teams. So for the most part, I would look towards the Kings here and towards the under. Did you have any prop looks or anything else on this one here?
Not really, RC. I agree with your look on the under. Real quick, RC, can you also add in? I think what you got up right now is that like a league wide trend for the whole season, or is that just January?
This is a league wide trend for the whole season.
So can we add just January? Because I know you mentioned that cluster being like towards the end of the year. We do know that teams will start to ramp up defensively and try to be in their best form. So maybe that's starting to take shape in January.
It actually starts right here. That January 18 is when you see that cluster of unders. Even towards the beginning of January, you're seeing some overs there.
Right. So what if we just looked at the Spurs specifically, RC, in the month of January, just to get a viewers, because that's the way I was looking at towards the under. The Spurs, I mentioned them being 1-9 against, straight up, and 3-7 against the spread. They haven't been covering because they haven't necessarily been able to score as many points as the book has kind of set their total to. You can see it right there. Delta points scored. They're actually under their team total. And what is their RC? 4 of the 6 games.
4 of the 6, yeah.
Right. So it's been their ability to be able to score the ball that's kind of fell off just a tad bit, and they aren't covering these games. I know that 2 times that these teams played already. One was in San Antonio, one was in Sacramento. Sacramento covered both of those spreads in that one as well. So I would lean towards Sacramento. I haven't gotten to the window with it yet, but I do feel like this is a number that they should be able to cover. If you wanted the number, you probably should have jumped on it a little earlier when it was 6. I think it may be up to 8 right now. But it'd be Sacramento or nothing, and it would also be the under for me in this spot as well, RC. So I would be there with you. I do think, prop-wise in this game, RC, I would look towards a guy like De'Aaron Fox, and I'll probably play his assists over his points just because he might not be needed to score the ball as much. Yeah. But I do feel like this is a game against the San Antonio Spurs, one of the worst defenses in the league, where he would be a willing distributor to try to get some of his other guys involved. I'm talking about the Harrison Barnes of the world, the Davion Mitchells, the Keegan Murrays of the world. So I think De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, probably a triple-double type game for him as well, RC. I think that would be in play as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this Kings with a total of 240 or greater, right? The last 4 instances they've won. They covered 3 of the 4. They've been playing pretty solid defense here, allowing their opponents to go under their team total in 6 of the last 7 of these totals. Actually, just started in January there, right? And if we go to the Spurs side, 0-6 straight up, 1-5 ATS. Last two instances, I think we talked about their team total going under.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of just things pointing in the almost. It almost seems like it's all going in the same direction, right? It's
Spurs team total.
Spurs team total under.
Mm-hmm. That was my look. Yeah.
Full game under.
Mm-hmm.
Kings against the spread.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I like all of them. I see. I like all of them. One more thing I see. If you go back to the Kings, right? If you just put that in, just change back to the Kings, and then look at their just away games, because like you talked about, they score a lot more points at home than they do on the road. So there you see even more support, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't go over that total. This was one of the reasons why I cashed on the both of Sacramento's last two games have been in Minnesota, and both of the unders have hit. Even with the last one going to overtime, they went to overtime with Minnesota the other day, and the under still hit in that game because, like you said, their role players don't play as well. So I like the under. Couldn't talk you off. I like the Spurs team total under just because they've been struggling offensively as well, and getting there on the spread as well. Another thing I looked at, RC, was for the people who want to back the Kings in this spot, the Kings versus conference opponents as away favorites. So just looking at them against the West specifically in conference games, they are 4-1 in that spot. You see 4-1 straight up, and against the spread in that spot. If you look at them after a previous win as well, RC, because they did win that last game.
Yeah.
Look at just add a previous win, RC, because we do want to make sure teams are consistent, right, and not complacent. You see that they're actually 3-0 straight up and 3-0 against the spread. So coming off a win, when they have a conference game as a favorite, they tend to be consistent and back that up with another win. So I think that's more support to be able to get there with the Kings as well. On the Spurs side, they are home dogs again after a previous home loss, and they are only 3-6 straight up. And it's some more support to that under for you, 7-2 to the under when they are a home dog coming off a previous loss.
Home dog off a previous loss?
Off a previous home loss.
Oh, sorry.
So still at home, coming off a loss.
7-2 to the under.
7-2 to the under. Yeah, they struggle in this spot. I see. They struggle a lot.
Yeah.
And what up to the chat, man? I see LJ, Zachariah, Mitch, Fremont.
Yeah, for sure.
What up, Brian?
Brian Spielberg can't lay 7. It is a high total. Let's see what their highest total is. Highest line is. Kings.
I think this might be the highest. Obviously.
It's the highest, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they covered 6.5 pretty clear.
Both times, yeah.
Both times.
What about I like to look at the opposite. I see. What about the Spurs at home catching 7.5 points?
You can see a lot of those probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not covering. We can just use the threshold at 6 right there.
Mm-hmm.
$111 straight up, 5-7 ATS.
Losing by about 16 points altogether. Mm-hmm. What if we looked at them after a previous home loss? I see.
0-3. There's an 8 and a 10, 6.5. Yeah, I think I might have to add the Kings on this on my card today.
Yeah, that's the way I was looking at it. See, like I said, I didn't get to the window with it yet, but the numbers and the trends just kind of showing me, man, it's a king spot. And if I had saw this earlier, I probably would have went ahead and locked it in. What up to Jay in the chat, man? Shout out.
What up, Jay? Pop in here. I know you got like a few minutes before you can go.
Right. Yeah. What up, Jay?
Drop your pictures down. Lean Spurs team total under. Yeah, that's the way that we're seeing it as well. Sorry, I missed this. What was listening to Jay's show? Kings on third game of road trip. They're 0-3. Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good look too. Yeah, I think it's Kings and the under is the way that I'll go in this one here. Let's move on to the next one. Did you have a play on another game, Chris, at all?
Just I got a player prop that I really like, RC, and it's in that Memphis game. Memphis will be at home today, second straight home game before they go out on the road. I know that they go to Cleveland tomorrow, so it's the first leg of a back-to-back for them. And they get the Portland Trailblazers. Portland, first road game, coming off 6 straight home games. They play NDC on Friday. Revenge game for Portland as well. Memphis did beat them 111 to 106 earlier in Portland. And for the Grizzlies, they are on, like I said, the front end of a back-to-back. They had lost 5 games in a row before they came home, and they had to fight back really hard. I watched that game on Sunday. They had to fight back hard down double digits against the Pacers. You got Bane listed as questionable. Danny Green looked like he could make his season debut tonight, and Steven Adams also listed as out. So one thing that's been profitable this year, I see, is if you want to fade the Portland Trailblazers, you typically do it against with a big man. So this is twofold for me. Jaren Jackson Jr. playing against the Blazers tonight, who they allow the most points to centers, which he'll shift in and take that center position without Steven Adams being there. They're allowing the most points to centers on the season and over the last 7 games. The Blazers also allowing the most rebounds to centers as well over the last 7 games. And you look at Jaren Jackson Jr., he's someone who plays a lot better at home than he does on the road. I think he sees an increase in usage without Steven Adams there, and his ability to be able to stretch the floor and be a part of that, because Steven Adams won't be a part of that rotation for a while. One thing I looked at, RC, was in 3 games this season at home specifically without Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson Jr. has 23, 27, and 36 points plus rebounds while shooting 47% or better in each one of those games. The 3 road games that he's played without Steven Adams, he only has 21, 23, and 24 points plus rebounds. All those games, he shot under 40%. So there's an extreme correlation between how well he plays at home versus on the road. I think with no Steven Adams, he plays well tonight. I took his rebounds plus his points plus rebounds over 24.5.
Gotcha. Question for you, Chris, for Josh Hart rebounds.
I think he's still some without. I could see it as long as they play defense. The total is, predicted to be really, really high in that game. Memphis is another team, RC, that's really kind of struggled to score recently. We know them as a extremely fast-paced team. They like to get out and run, but they haven't been extremely efficient offensively. On that road trip when they couldn't buy a win, they lost to. We talked about that. We talked about it for 2 weeks. They hadn't really won a lot of games in that spot. And they came home and also, like I said, found themselves down double digits to the shorthanded Indiana Pacers. So I think he could get the rebounds today, but I'm not sure if there's going to be a lot of misses. That total also going up, RC. That total is up, I think, maybe 3 or 4 points from 10 points, I think, from what it opened at. I think that total opened at 229. It's up to 239, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Well, this one says 234.5. It might be, if you look at like the pre-line or whatever, not the open at the casinos, it could be a little bit different. So it does make sense that it could have opened shorter, 239, 229. It is 239.5 now. Dude, I'm just looking at this while you were talking, though. It almost seems like the under might be in play, especially if it continues to go up. Right? I think we talked about it on the show yesterday. I think that 5.5, 5 to 7.5 point gap from open to close, it might be that point where you look towards the other way.
Yeah.
I think so. If we look at the Grizzlies against teams that they just beat in their most recent in-season matchup, right? They're 11-5 to the under, 5-10-1 ATS. So it seems like what it looks like, it seems like they're giving up points. Like they're not playing as tougher defense the second time around. Also, their offense is struggling. You can see that there. I think was 5-11 to the under their team total in these spots here against teams that they previously beat. On the opposite side, you have the
actually, real quick, if you kept that right there and you just did the what about at home specifically? How do they do at home in those spots?
I think it's like 2-6. I just looked at it. Yeah, 6-2 to the under.
Okay, even more. Okay.
Yeah. And their team total is what goes under as well, 6-2.
Okay. Yeah. I do think that the numbers are a tad bit inflated, RC. I know Memphis has been scoring a lot of points, but if they don't have Desmond Bane in there, today he's listed as questionable. That takes away from some of their offense. Steven Adams, I think, offensively isn't talked about enough. Just his ability to be able to screen set, get easy putbacks, offensive rebounds that lead to kickouts for 3-pointers. All those things get taken into consideration when you think about the Memphis Grizzlies offense, not just John Morant going out there getting a triple-double,
Yeah. Here's the other thing. The Blazers in-season revenge, they're only 3-8 straight up, 3-8 ATS, 7-4 to the under. And it's actually the opposite. We looked at the Warriors struggling offensively, right? When they're playing a team that they beat against a team that the Blazers lost to, they're also struggling on the offensive side of the ball. So it almost seems like both Both teams could be struggling in the spot here. What about sorry? Is there travel involved in this game? Let's look at that.
Yeah, so you got the Blazers coming from home to road. Like I mentioned, they I think it was 6 games in a row. I see that they played on the road. I'm sorry, at home. So this is their first road game after 6 straight home games. Yeah, 6 straight home games.
Damn, that's crazy. All right, let's just do streak greater than equal to 5. Oops, site streak. This should be. All right, so well, that's the first time there. What about like just let's look
I was
at
about
like
to say what's the league wide?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too.
Yeah, you read my mind, bro. We kept
the
the same way.
Yeah, nothing significant there either. What if
they're dogs, RC?
Oh my god, you gotta stop! Hey, you gotta stop being in my head, dude. So yeah, that's nothing significant. That's interesting though, because we always talk about it, right? Like, you know, first game on the road after a long homestand, or the opposite, first game home of a long road trip. I think the road trip is probably more apparent because.
What about conference, RC? What about if it's in conference? We know sometimes when you got to travel across the world, it might be a little bit different. Not too significant for it. 6 and 4.
Not significant either.
Okay.
All right. Well, that one's pretty tough. I think it in my book, but probably a look towards the under. I think still.
Yeah, I still lean under too. I still lean under.
I don't know if I'm gonna get there to the window though. Did anyone say in the chat anything about this game at all? Oh, they're talking about Raptors.
Yeah, James said, "What SDQL parameters do you use to pull up teams that just played the same team in back-to-back like the Kings did the Wolves?" Oh yeah, so you got that one.
Yeah, we could do that. Let's just actually go to that one next. What game is it?
Previous opponent team equals opponent.
Who's playing each other in back-to-back games?
Nobody. I think he was just wondering. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
But RC, no, the team is doing that. It's the Orlando Magic and the Philadelphia 76ers.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I knew there was a game. Okay, let's bring that up.
Jay said he wanted the Grizz first quarter and first half if Bane is in. I'll be with you, Jay. I think that there's some substance. I talked about that on my show this morning. I think there's some substance to Grizzlies first quarter. Just because Portland is traveling, this is their first road game in like a week and a half. So I'm pretty sure Jay probably touched on this show, but I would agree with that as well, Jay. That's why I had it written down in my notes, but I couldn't really find too much to support it. I think that they need Bane in order, because their offense does take a hit without Bane. You're already without Steven Adams to get the offensive rebounds and the defensive and the kickouts and the putbacks and those type of things. And then you're trying to integrate Danny Green into the offensive flow as well. So I would need him in as well, Jay. But I couldn't talk anybody off wanting to take the Grizz in the first quarter.
Yeah. Good point by 1013 JRW. Portland and Memphis isn't a good representation of conference game being less travel, just because Memphis is so far out from the West Coast. That's a good point there as well. So this is the parameter. Who was it? James Kowalski. This is the parameter here for teams playing each other in back-to-back games. So this is previous opponent team equals opponent team. That means they're facing each other in the previous game and today's game. And one thing that has been a pretty solid trend so far is the team winning the first game in these back-to-backs. They actually tend to cover and win the following game as well. Last 2 instances, though, involves the Wolves, and they didn't. So that's a one interesting thing to note there. But you can see a cluster of W's right there. A lot of cluster of overs as well. That's interesting. All right, so let's say we can also do, if they're in the same, are they playing in the same arena?
Same arena. Yep, they both in Philly.
So this one would say site equals P site, means that the previous site or wherever they played is the same place. 23-11 straight up, 23-10 ATS.
Says to take the Magic tonight plus the 9.5, right, RC?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy because the Magic do well. If we look at the team equals Magic. Look at them against conference teams.
That's just amazing. That's amazing, dude.
4-6 straight up, 8-1-1 ATS, 7-3 to the under. But the biggest thing is who they be beating, dude. Like they beat the Celtics 3 times in a
Swept
row.
trifected the Celtics this year.
Yeah, exactly. And then they already beat the Sixers. That's the top 2 teams in the East, dude. They got him. They got him. I don't know. It could be that the teams are overlooking them, but at the same time, I don't know. Look at this. This was back-to-back games too, guys. Celtics. We always thought the favorite was gonna come back and get that revenge. Celtics didn't get done. They got beat. Like they did worse the next game. Look, like they only scored 92 points.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you guys, but I can only look for the Magic.
It's tough. It's tough. RC. So real quick. So Jay said he leaned 76ers first quarter, first half in the revenge spot. So one thing I looked at, RC, was Philly off of the revenge spot. Went specifically when they're at home. They do well in that spot. If you want to bring it up, I think they are something like, I want to say it was 3-0, 4-0 in that spot, ATS and straight up. So I could see that, Jay. I could see them bouncing back in this spot here.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely possible. They should.
Early,
I mean, like
early, RC. Not for the full game though. I don't think the Magic losing by 10. To any. If they're not in a bad spot, which it's equal rest in this spot, I don't think they lose them. I don't think they're losing by 10. If they play that type of defense that they played in the fourth quarter against Philly, they only allowed 19 points the other day and killed my over. I'm not fading them guys.
Well, they did. JRW. They actually opened at 8.5, I believe, and then it got bought back up to 9.5 for the Sixers. Look at this here too. I brought it to Road Dogs, and 5-1 ATS, but you can see most of it is actually limiting their opponents on the defensive side. I want to look at the Sixers real quick to see how they do in revenge situations.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. See, I think they do well in this spot.
6-1. Okay, got you. Was there any instance where it was back to back?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I think one of those is.
Oh, there you go. There's the rebuttal there, right? Sixers revenge and back to back against the same opponent. Beat the Raptors and the Hawks pretty easily. Look at that, double digits. That's probably why I was off this game yesterday. I don't know.
Yep. Jay make another good point in the chat. He said, "Remember that was the horrible spot for the Sixers off the Super Bowl, off the Eagles making it to the Super Bowl." So
they also started strong that game, didn't they? And then they fell off in the second half.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna be off this game. Banchero is official. Oh my bad. I thought he was like officially won't play. I was like, what? So yeah, Banchero is out. Definitely the Sixers. I don't think I'm gonna touch this one.
I don't think I'm gonna touch it either, RC, but I would lean to Orlando catcher. I think it's catching so many points. It'd be different if it was like 6.5. I just feel like they can keep it within 10 points.
Hold on. So Jay said what? First quarter, first half. Look at that gap there. Let's go back to Orlando real quick and see how they do here. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was gonna be like coming back in the second half. Yeah, no, this one's too tough for me. Any last comments on this one? I was trying to see what teams do after playing back-to-back against the same opponent. So, are you talking about after today's game? I'm not sure your question, James. Yeah. Let's move on to the next one here. So actually, Chris, any last comments before we move on? Okay.
No, that's it, RC. That's it. I do think, the substance to what Jay's saying is that, the other thing I think we talked about this before the show, RC, we haven't mentioned it yet, but for the viewers, Wendell Carter Jr. is listed as questionable in this one, and Embiid is also listed as questionable. So make sure you guys got all the news before putting these plays in, because manipulation of the injury report is at an all-time high right now for people who do want to wager, on this game one side or another based on the trends that we just pull or their own research.
Yeah. Here's James Nathan Cerna said he dropped the winners for you guys. So Sixers first quarter, Grizz first quarter, Celtics first quarter. I mean, I haven't looked into those too deeply, but Sixers first quarter seems like. I mean, if Jay's on it, I trust his research on it. But for me, it's just too much back and forth right? Chris, do you agree
No,
there?
no, I'm with you. And I also feel like I don't think Jay said he was officially on it. Did he? He said he leans. He
Oh, he
playing.
leans that way. Okay.
He leaning. That we lean in a lot of stuff too. I see. We
Yeah, we
we're
lean
not putting our
everything.
money on. Right.
Uh, we lean everything until we say it's official. All right, so yeah, man, that's tough. It's crazy because I just keep looking back to these Celtics games, dude. Back to back road, right? But then the Celtics have two games in the opposite situation, and they did well there. So yeah, I'm gonna be off this one. Damn, I really liked the Magic too earlier. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. Anything on Boston and Nets? I did not look at this game. I know that the Boston does well at home as far as like total going to the over. Did I not write it down on my banners? Um, yeah. Do you want to move to? Do you like this game, that Boston game?
Not really. I see. I mean, I got some notes on it, but I didn't play anything official. Robert Williams, I think important to mention. Robert Williams is in. He was listed as questionable for this game. He's listed
Yeah.
as in. I think that spread moved from 8.5 up to 9 when he got ruled in
Mm-hmm.
officially. And then I also saw reports from Marcus Smart. He said that he probably gonna be out until the All-Star break, so he's not gonna be back to after the All-Star break. So he's not gonna be back for this game. The Nets, they are owned by the Celtics. The Celtics kind of own them. RC. I think what I found was with or without KD, Boston has won and covered 5 games in a row, including 2 already this season and once already this month. The Celtics, however, on the opposite side, this is the conflictual part I see. The Celtics are 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games. They've not been able to cover spreads because they've also been seeing these really inflated totals, and they haven't been shooting the ball as well. They've been kind of, just inconsistent with them being able to shoot the ball. We know that they started the season off really, really hot. It was actually the best offense we had ever seen before, like
Yeah.
statistically. But they've come back down to earth. The other thing with the Celtics, RC, I don't know if you remember this or not, but we looked at this earlier. The Celtics are the best, I think, the best team as far as back-to-back and third game in 4 nights. They have the best ATS record and straight-up record in that spot. But you give them a couple of days off, RC, and they turn into a whole different team. I got the Celtics at 2-7 straight up and 1-8.
Holy.
Yeah, there you go. With 2 days of rest or more.
Why
Which
is
is
that?
insane.
Is
I
it
have
because
no idea.
it's not like they're well, some of them are pretty tight. Like there's a 1 there, 3, or they won that game. Oh, ATS. Yeah, they're like not even covering by a big margin either.
They haven't been covering at all. I see Jason say he official. That's the only way I'd be able to look is looking towards the Nets as well, just because the Celtics haven't been consistent enough. Like I mentioned, they're 0-6 in their last 6 games.
Yeah.
Just haven't been able to stay hot from the 3-point line. I think
Yeah.
taking Marcus Smart out doesn't help any.
It's
Because
crazy because I know Punt was saying too, like Josh Punt School, he was saying that without Marcus Smart, their offense has been struggling, and they continue to do so. It's weird because everyone thinks of him such a great defender, right? They don't think about what he does to the rotation as far as him being in the starting lineup. It's kind of crazy, but it also comes to like how people see him as just a
his
defender.
perception, yeah, his
Yeah,
perception of just being a defender. Because remember, RC, we looked at it. Remember, we looked at it on Spodevs, Marcus Smart in versus Marcus Smart out. Remember, they were like something like 7-2 to the under without
mm-hmm.
Marcus Smart in. And
Yeah.
I think that they go under because they don't score as many points. They need him to be able not just to like make shots because he's not the greatest shot maker, but he does really facilitate that offense, which is why he averages about 7.5, 8 assists. So
Yeah.
I can see that. I'd be looking towards Boston to get some revenge in this. I'm sorry, towards the Nets to be able to get some revenge in this spot too. If I was going to play a side.
Look at the team totals too. 6 straight team total unders for the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
This is 8 straight team total overs for their opponents.
Mm-hmm. Revenge game for Kyrie, all that good stuff.
Let's look at they played each other earlier this season.
Twice. Celtics beat them both times. One with KD, one without KD.
2 in a row. Damn, they got smacked.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the Nets first quarter? Wait, did someone? I swear I just said that. Someone said Nets first quarter. That was Nathan.
I think it was Boston first quarter. And those
Oh.
winners, when Dude said he gave out a one day, it might have been Boston
Yeah.
first quarter. I ain't sure.
So we look at revenge situation here, right? 6-4 straight up, 7-3 ATS. There's that first quarter gap there, and they're a 9-point dog. They're actually up. Actually, let's move this to, and D as dogs. Man, look at all those points in that first quarter.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's see. Based on those dates, RC, it looks like KD probably didn't play in any. He probably played in all of those games because he didn't get hurt until when probably like the middle of January. I mean, like the beginning of January.
Yeah.
So I think you got to take that into consideration too. But them being a dog probably is, indication if they're actually a dog or not, because they're not going to be a dog too many times with KD and Kyrie both in the lineup.
All right, so what do you let's dive into this first quarter over a little bit more, because like in revenge situations as road dogs, right? Obviously these two went over in regulation. This one went under in regulation, right? But if you look at that first quarter in that one too, 34 and 29. So they still went over in that first quarter, right? I think in most recent games too. So if we look at the Nets in their current form, their offense has been doing a lot better, isn't it? We got 6 straight overs.
Yeah, they picked it up.
They picked it up without KD. They finally got it together. So if we go back to the Celtics side. What do we look at on the Celtics? Hold on. Celtics was rest with extra rest.
Yeah, greater than or equal to 2.
Yeah, so they got the Celtics with rest greater than or equal to 2. Look at their first quarter too. They're losing in that spot. What would the first? Do you know the first quarter team total at all, Chris?
I don't, but I can find out. Hold on. Yeah, I can look it up. Hold on.
Because this was 59 points. I would think it would probably be like 57 and a half, 58, right?
Based on what the current overall total is?
Yeah.
Let's see. We got let's see. First quarter total points 57 and a half. You nailed it, Ozzy.
57 and a half. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I might look at that first quarter over and also first quarter on the net side. I think that those are I'm gonna look into that a little bit more. First quarter over. First quarter nets. All right, so if we go to the Celtics here and we say they're home favorites, $57 and a half, we say that we're going against a conference team. 11-4 to the over, 7-8 ATS. What's the spread? First quarter spread 2.5.
I think it was 3 is what my guy said in the chat. Let me check and see what I see there. I see 3.5 actually now.
3.5.
Boston. Yeah, in favor of Boston.
All right. Over. Well, those went into OT, but the first quarter still went over.
What about teams also I see that they beat already this year?
What, adding to this?
No, you don't got to add to it. I'm just saying like teams
Pete.
that Boston, just teams that Boston have beat already this season, because they beat this Nets team twice already.
Yeah, gotcha.
59.
59. Let's say at home.
Even more.
Man, look at that. Yeah, dude. I think I'm gonna add that first quarter over.
I think I'm gonna add it with you. I see.
First quarter over. I like it. All right, let's do it. First quarter over there. That was a sneak peek of how my brain works in like a short period of time when I'm looking at stuff. All right, let's go to what's another game you guys want to see? Did anyone mention any other games? Time Lord versus Claxton about to be fun. Yeah. Did anyone mention any other games?
I don't see anymore. I see Mitch mentioned Tatum 10 rebounds is plus 125. I couldn't talk him off of that. The Nets are not a great rebounding team, and Tatum has been rebounding the ball really efficiently a lot. So I think that's a pretty solid look from Mitch in the chat as well.
Oh, yeah, I got one. Okay, so the Hawks and the Suns. We were talking about this like real briefly before before the show. I want to see how I kind of want to look at the Hawks here. So if we go to the Hawks and we say that they're on the road and they're coming, let's just say on the road real quick. So we say the Hawks on the road, 12-15, 12-15, 7-10 to the over, right? And I think we mentioned this a lot on the show with the Hawks, that they struggle when they go from home to road, right? 3-10, 2-11 ATS. So they struggle there for the most part. But they're going from road to road. So if we go we go from road to road, like they're probably like just chilling in the general area of where they're already at. 9-5 straight up, 10-4 ATS, and they're covering and winning 5 of the last 6 instances. And if we go to the other side,
I see. Real quick, while you there,
Yeah.
can you add? What if they're coming off a previous away loss as well? Are they even more motivated in that spot? Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. And they're the dog. Let's say they're the.
Okay, I see. We
There
find
you
it.
go. So we're just diving into it. Okay, so we go back to the Sun side. They're on the last of a 2-game homestand, right? And then they go on a road trip. 4-5 straight up, 2-7 ATS, 7-2 to the under. So that doesn't help like the total at all, but it does say that they struggle in that spot as far as covering the spread. This is asking for them to just win the game for the most part. They're winning, so they're winning the ones that they're with the higher spreads though. If we're looking at that, and then we know the Warriors struggle on the road, especially early on in the season. So this was November. And then we go, let's just say we keep going. They say, all right, there are multiple road trips. Oops. Multiple game road trip. And then you continue to see they struggle even more, right? 1-5 straight up. Oh, sorry, 2-4 straight up, 1-5 ATS. I can only look towards the Hawks here. What is the line going to? Oops.
It was 1.5 earlier, right?
1.5.
It's kind of
yeah. And we're seeing some ones here. Well, that's DraftKings and Caesars. I don't know, man. I can only look towards the Hawks here. I know the Phoenix Suns have been playing well as far as like current form, right? I think they won 6 of the last 7 games.
Yeah. I think it was a 6-game. It was a 6-game win streak. I want to say, I see. Or was it longer? I know they've been balling at the crib.
There you go. 6 of the last 7.
6. Yeah, they lost to the Mavs. That's what it was.
They got Celtics on deck too. I would think that they would want to show up for that game. I'm gonna put that down as a lean, but I think I might. I lean that way, Hawks. Hopefully that support. If you guys like the Hawks, maybe that helped you support that. But I don't know if I'm gonna get there to the window. But it does, to me, it seems like that would be the way that I go.
Yeah, for sure.
For Suns home games, first half under.
Glow said, why did the Wizards and Pistons get postponed? It got postponed because of the snowstorm that's happening in Dallas. Yeah. The Pistons are actually stuck in Dallas, haven't been able to fly back home, which is why that game got postponed. Mm-hmm. And then Brian said Thunder Rockets. Did y'all go over that?
Thunder Rockets? No, I don't think we did.
No, we didn't. And then Danilo said, can y'all cap the Golden State Warriors and Timberwolves game as well?
Let's just do those two and then be done with it. All right, so we got
Jay with you on the Hawks. I see he say lean Hawks as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Game before a 5-game road trip. You just pulled the stats on that, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Let's move. Let's just keep adding on to it. This is funny. All right, so and then and then a 3-game road trip.
They don't score a lot of points.
They don't score
Damn, that should look like 90s basketball.
Yeah. Damn, 4-0 to the under too.
Mm-hmm. They haven't scored over 102 points in any of those games. That's crazy.
And these had Booker in them.
Yeah.
It's Hawks or under. Look at their team total. Let's go back real quick. Let's take it back. Team total under. This one went over by the hook.
And it was against the Rockets. They should have went over by more than the hook.
What's their team total today?
Let's see. Damn, it's high, RC, because the total for the game is 237. So
that's because
231.
Defense.
Yeah, the Hawks defense is pretty bad. 116 and a half. 116 and a half is the Suns team total.
I think I'm not gonna mess with the total just because. Well, actually, look at this. 4 of the last 6 went under.
That's because they've been playing a lot better defense. They've been playing a lot of better defense as well. I see. I think the Suns were like top 2, top 3 defensively last 6-7 games. If we check NBA.com.
Sorry, say that again one more time.
No, I was just saying this. I think that if you look at the last the last 6 games defensive rating, last 5 or 6 games, the Suns are top 5 defense last 5-6 games.
Yeah, I got you right.
Top 2.
Wait, what did I just do? So 6 games. Suns top 10, yeah. I had it filtered for road games.
Road game.
Yeah, earlier when you saw them at second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on to the Thunder here. Bridges has been killing it. Yeah, he has. Let's go to the Thunder. I didn't really look at this game. We talked about it real briefly right before the show about just taking the Rockets under second half, right? Something that we were looking at, but I think what were people saying? The Thunder?
Jay said Thunder top look of the day for him. Minus 5.5.
And they were smashing. Look at all that.
Yeah. Nice little bounce back spot off the Golden State game. It's the only way I would be able to look. I was actually about to put them in a little 2-leg parlay, RC. You take the Thunder and you take the Kings and you parlay both of them together, you get minus 107. I think both of them win the game today. So that'd be the easy way out.
Coming off of a loss. Well, that's really specific, though. Coming off a loss and then they're the road favorite. Didn't cover against the Pistons. Lost to the Pistons.
One thing that's interesting, RC, I was looking at early in this game is keep the Thunder up. Look at the Thunder against teams that have a 50% win percentage or less, because we talk about them playing up the competition, right? They cover these games that they're not supposed to, and then look at them. I think at away as well, RC.
And away.
Yeah, in a way.
7-4 ATS there.
Okay.
What if we do favorite? Shit. All right, well, 0-3 straight up and ATS as road favorites against teams with a losing record.
But this is a revenge game for them as well. See, let's do the revenge game angle. I think the revenge game angle benefits them.
All right, let's look at that. Revenge here, 7-7 straight up, 8-6 ATS, 9-5 to the over. Oh, look at those.
Yeah, let's just look at those ones specifically. It's in January, RC. Let's look at the January ones.
What's that?
Date is greater than 2023 0101.
Yeah, even just putting the road seems like it's pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Those are the ones been in January.
But these teams do. But here's the problem: these teams are good teams. And we always say they play up, right? These Rockets is not a good team at all.
Not a good team, though.
Let's just say, all right, let's look at. So we looked at road and against less than 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do cover in that spot.
What about equal to RC? I feel like we got a lot of equal twos as well.
But once they get to favorite is when it starts to go the other way. Right, because if you say we're road dogs, boom, smashing, right? They're smashing. When they get to the favorites, they play down. They play down to their opponent.
Right. One thing I think to note though, RC, you can say is that like they those games were a while ago, and we talked about them getting hot recently. Like those games were back in November, so I think that we could take that into consideration. Even in the Magic I feel like the Magic are they're kind of like the Thunder of the Western Conference. Of the Eastern Conference. Like they're one of those teams that can beat you on any given night, and they play well as a dog as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That is. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. If you look at the Rockets just at home, man, they're terrible.
Jay said Rockets getting smoked by 20 tonight. I'm with you, Jay.
It's very possible. Look how bad they've been lately.
What about after a previous away win, RC? Because they did win that tankathon the other day in Detroit.
Oh yeah, my bad. I already had it filtered for. Oh, sorry.
Away win at that, RC. And how do they do traveling from home from road to home too? I'm interested to see what that looks like.
There you go. They got beat by the Thunder Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
Say that one more time.
Just how they do traveling from road to home.
Road to home. Not that good. Not that good. Let's say this one's tough. I think the eye test would say Thunder smash them.
Me too, and I think that's what James said. SGA points over, Giddy PRA over. Muno said you ain't paying no attention to me because you hit me with the that makes sense.
Where? Shut up. No, that one I did listen. All right, I was just trying to.
He's multitasking. That's all I see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did listen. I knew what he said. Damn. Did you place a bet on this?
Nah, not yet. But it's one pretty simple, like you said. It's Thunder or nothing, man. Especially what we can't take into consideration with any of these queries, RC, is that the injury news, right? The Thunder will be without Dort in this game, but who do they need him for? He can't guard. He's not guarding Michael Porter Jr. from the bench because he's not playing. Jalen Green's also ruled out. Like Sengun is back, but who runs that? Like who do they use to score the ball with today? Jayshawn Tate and Kenyon Martin Jr. Like they don't have a lot of guys that can score the ball. And
not even, even shoot the three because they're not even that great 3-point shooters either. The guys that are replacing them.
They don't have enough, RC. So it's Thunder or nothing, easily in this one for me. Even with them being a favorite. I know that the Thunder have been playing well as a favorite because earlier I know we didn't want to touch them as a favorite. Not as a road favorite, just as a favorite in general. I think they have a couple covers recently in the month of January.
Wasn't there a period? Well, nah, never mind. I feel like there was a period where like Wham and some guys were taking the first half Rockets,
yeah. Because if they're gonna play well, it typically is there. But you see it in January, RC, when they have been a favorite. I know those games are coming home, but when they've been a favorite against some of those questionable teams like the Wizards before they got hot, they were performing well in that spot. They also got a win over the Spurs, I think, as well. You see that one in there.
Yeah.
It's Thunder. I'm not betting on the Rockets.
It's definitely Thunder or nothing. But I just don't know if I don't think I could bet it. Because I think everybody who caps games, right? They all have their own rules, right? Like you can't go outside of that, and then you start to what's that called? You start to tilt a little bit, right? If you're going off of your own rules, you're tilting at that point. You got to go back. You got to sit back and just think about what you did wrong.
So RC, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. So if you don't, so do you think that so the spread might be too high? Do you think the Rockets win the game? I mean, not the Rockets. Do you think the Thunder win the game?
I mean,
like just on the money line.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you look at the teams that they face, they already lost to the Rockets before, so it doesn't means that it could happen again.
Yeah, click on that game, RC. What happened in that game? Did Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. go off?
Shit, they had to come back in the fourth quarter to even get close. So they were up by 21 at half. Giddy, Shea, Williams.
They had Dort and Pokusevski.
He got injured though. I think that's
Giddy did have 32 points in that game. I mean, not Giddy. SGA had 32 points in that game. But on the opposite side, who did they have? They had Sengun, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith, and Eric Gordon.
They just shot really well.
That's an outlier.
That is definitely an outlier. But I still can't mess with it. I don't think I'm gonna mess with it. Let's move on to the last game. I would say still Thunder or nothing, but I'm not gonna bet it. What was the last one that people wanted to see? Warriors Wolves.
The Warriors and Wolves, yeah.
Okay, this one I did on a triple double show, and I was leaning towards the Wolves and the under here. Did you have a look on this one at all, Chris?
Nothing that I played officially, RC, but my lean would be towards the under as well. Golden State is on the first leg of a back-to-back. I think they got Denver tomorrow. Timberwolves at home. This will be a third straight home game for them. Fourth game of a 6-game home stand. They host Orlando on Friday, which I don't think is too much of a look-ahead spot. The Warriors, I feel like, RC, I know Steph Curry was asked about it in the last game, whether he anticipates starting to play on some of these back-to-backs as the Warriors start to try to stack up some wins because they have recently. I think that they go, my gut tells me, RC, they go all out in this game, and they probably don't try to win tomorrow, right? Because when you have Denver at the rest disadvantage, not just a slight rest disadvantage, but a major disadvantage because you're on the second leg of a back-to-back, and we know Kerr has been resting his guys in that spot. I think Golden State goes for this one, and they try to rest their guys tomorrow.
So we know on the second leg of back-to-back games, we're probably going to see Clay out, right? We're going to see a few guys out. Let's look at who their opponents have been on that second leg of back-to-back. So they have the Cavs, Wizards, Jazz. They won all of those. Lost to the Nets, Pacers. All these are on the road too. So if we go N equals, so N rest means that they're on the first leg of back-to-back games. 3-7 straight up, 2-7-1 ATS, 5-4-1 to the over. Celtics, Bulls. These are all non-conference. If we go to the conference here, we got Rockets. They won but didn't cover that. Kings lost, didn't cover. Dude, all of these are non-conference. So we go. But the crazy thing is, these guys are in Minnesota. I don't understand why this. So the travel wise, they're still traveling towards the eastern part of the states. So we go NRES and we go A. 1-7 straight up, 1-7 ATS, 5-2-1 to the over. All right, so we go to the Wolves side. We say that they're home dogs. 9-4,
really good.
9-4 ATS. This one's towards the under here. What do you think, dude? I feel like it has to be Wolves.
I think it's too close to call, RC, because the trends are going to tell you to take the Wolves, but I feel like Golden State's like kind of rounding in the form. We talked about this in the chat, and I know we talked about it on the show. YBB mentioned it a few weeks ago. Like the Golden State Warriors not going to lose every game on the road, right? And I think if you look at the Warriors recently, RC, they've actually been playing well in their road games. I know that they have a quite a few covers in a row. And like I said, with the Nuggets on deck tomorrow, I think that they probably don't see that as a winnable game, especially on the second night of a back-to-back. I would be looking towards the Warriors, RC. But I also think that on the Timberwolves side, you didn't look at this, RC, but the Timberwolves, when they're revenging the same season loss, they're actually really good in that spot as well. And I don't know if you remember this game, but it was a Sunday. The Timberwolves got mollywopped by the Golden State Warriors earlier this season. I think they gave up 50 points in the first quarter. I think 47 points in the first quarter. They got smacked up in that spot. So I do expect them to play hard in this game. It's a difficult game for me. Jay just said Warriors 4-0 ATS last 4 road games. That's what I'm talking about. Like it's starting to revenge itself. It's starting to flip a little bit. So I think they play hard today. RC they rest tomorrow against Denver. Denver at that with altitude.
This is what you mentioned, right? The Wolves and revenge games. Right, they do well in that spot, but then I added home dog because I talked about this one earlier on Triple Double too. 2-0 straight up and against the spread. 0-2. 2-0 to the under. It almost what I said on the show earlier was I feel like it's correlated, right? I feel like if you like the Wolves, you probably want the game to go under because they're not gonna outscore the Warriors. If you like the Warriors, they're gonna have to play with offense, right? It feels like their defense hasn't been there lately. So they would probably say Warriors and over or the Wolves and under, right? Wouldn't that be correlated?
Yeah, real quick, RC. Let's look at the Timberwolves just at home. If you look at them at home in general, these high totals that are really high. We just cashed on this spot 2 times in a row. They go under. Like you can see it right there. A lot of those totals that are pretty high, they go under in that spot. The Warriors on the road, when they have a total of about 238, I think they're going over because historically at least throughout this season, they haven't really been playing a lot of defense on the road. But to Jay's point, I bet they've actually probably gone under in a couple of those road ATS wins in their last 4 games. That's not something that I looked into, though.
Talking about the Warriors, right?
Yeah, on the road. So they're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4. Did they go under in any of them? Nope.
Only one. Only one, but it was that game against the Celtics. Obviously, playoff atmosphere games, we typically look towards the under, right?
Yeah.
The Cavs here, obviously, this would have been a playoff atmosphere game, but they were on the second leg of back-to-back games.
They also won that game, RC, that was the game that they won without any of their starters. The Cavs just came out and laid an egg in that spot. They won with all the bench guys. Ty Jerome had 20 points in that game.
Yeah. Let's look at this again. Road game. First leg of back-to-back games. And so road game, first leg of back-to-back, and then their next game's on the road. Okay. Same shit.
Did you look at them, RC, the Warriors specifically, when they are facing the team that they beat already this season, specifically on the road? Because they did, like I said, they beat the Timberwolves on the road already this year. WRC, they won.
Oh, my bad. They're starting to slow down, so it's probably telling me that we should stop soon.
It's a warning sign. It's a warning sign.
It's a warning sign, yeah. They're watching. Okay. There you go. 2-6 straight up, 4-4 ATS, 5-2-1 to the over.
Okay. And that's on the road specifically too, right?
Yeah, on the road.
It's a tough one. See, that's why I didn't play the side at all. I do still kind of lean towards the under. I think it's a lot of points in this one.
Yeah.
Especially if Gobert gets ruled in, I think the total probably drops a half a point or so. I can see this one going under. Just because the Timberwolves got smacked up the way that they did and they gave up so many points in that last game, I think they probably remember it. And I think they probably try to play a little bit more defense in this game. Golden State has been hot offensively on the road, though, so I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about it, dude. It was going to flip at some point, and obviously it looks like it has already, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But again, the first leg of back-to-back games is where they struggle. And that's the only reason why I would probably that I stay off of it, right? If it was them on the road on regular rest for the game and the next game, I'd probably be on the Warriors right now. But I think the Wolves as road dogs, home dogs, and then Warriors got the Nuggets up next. That's tough. I feel like that's tough. All right, well, I think that's it. That's the end of the show, guys. Let's go to recaps here. All right, Chris, you go first. We'll take that out of here. All right, recaps. What do you think? What would you say would be your officials today?
Yeah, so honestly, I talked about so we talked about a lot of different leans, and I still got some more work to do, on the card. But top play of the day is actually the player prop that I talked about earlier, and this Mr. Jared Jackson Jr. In that home game against the visiting Portland Trailblazers. I think as long as he can stay out of foul trouble today, I like his points plus rebounds over 24.5. I talked about the Portland Trailblazers allowing the most points to centers over the last 7 games and to centers over the season as well. Jared Jackson Jr. Played well in his first home game back, clearing that number against the Indiana Pacers the other day. And there's a significant correlation between him playing at home versus playing on the road. He plays a lot better at home. So I like Jared Jackson Jr. to end up with at least 24.5, 25 points plus rebounds tonight, RC. That's my favorite look of the day. I know it's a prop. As far as the total, I do like a couple of the ones that we talked about. Haven't went official with any of those just for transparency, but I do like a couple of those totals that we talked about. I think the one that you mentioned earlier, RC, with the Kings and the Spurs will probably be my favorite to go under. I think that total got bet up to 244. I'm probably gonna get there with you on the under in that one too, RC. And then I talked about a little 2-team money line parlay, RC. I think the Rockets lose today, so add the Thunder on the money line, and I think you could also throw in the Kings. I don't think that they lose to the San Antonio Spurs today. I think if you do put both of those teams together, just 2 teams, it's a minus 107, RC. So another way to kind of get some cash and stay away from the spreads in those games where we kind of just want to fade the bad teams that don't want to win.
Yeah, I think one thing to add about Triple J too, he's at home, right? So we know we heard about the news, giving him some phantom stats, so it might be in your favor today. As far as plays, I only played this King Spurs under so far today, but I do want to look further into the Kings spread. Nets Celtics first quarter over. The Hawks. I feel like that was it. What else we talk about? Yeah, I think that was it.
Did you said Boston and Brooklyn first quarter?
First quarter over. Mm-hmm. First quarter over. Kings on the spread. Hawks on the spread. Only official so far though. King Spurs under. I think that's the way to go here. Also the low volume, dude. The low volume has been doing really well. I know, like last month, December, was like 6 games a day, 7 games a day. Even when there was only like three games, I would have like the total and the side. But I think focusing in on specific things has been helpful lately. So hopefully we just continue to keep cashing these tickets, bro. Chris, obviously, you can be here tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, obviously, let's cap every day, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be on Jay's show, so shout out to Jay for being here. In the chat, obviously, dropping plays and some information as well. I'll be on the show tomorrow at 10. My triple double show, the Sportsmemo triple double show, that's over on the Sportsmemo and Wagertalk YouTube pages. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard. So that's like right before I do Let's Cap. And that's why I get focused on 3 specific games, is because we only talk about 3 games there, and I'm able to talk about them at a deeper level on Let's Cap. But then all the other games, really, I need support from the chat. I need support from other cappers. For the most part, it's mainly these bigger slates. When you have like 4 or 5 games a day, I can knock those out pretty easily at a high level. But when you get 9 games and you want to get at a super detailed level, you really can't. I don't know about everyone that's watching or you even, Chris, man. One game could probably take like 30 minutes plus, even longer. It could because of the level of detail that we go through. So some of these short analysis, we go through like 10 minutes a game here on the show. We did a lot of pre-work for it. And we still take 10 minutes to talk about it. So that's a little bit of a like background about what we do before shows and after shows and all that stuff. Even after the show, we're still going to do more research. You know what I mean? With that said, though, I mean, Chris, you got your spaces coming up like what, in an hour, 2 hours?
2 hours, yeah.
2 hours. So if you guys are watching, you guys want to drop some plays and information, learn from other cappers as well that are coming up in the game. They all go into Chris's spaces and drop information, drop plays. We focus more so on the sides, totals, sometimes the player props on the show. A lot of the guys over there on his spaces do drop a lot of like same game parlays and stuff like that too. So if you guys are into that stuff, definitely hit up Chris's spaces. Any last comments before we head out, Chris?
No, I see. I appreciate you as always, man. I think you mentioned something that's really important. I see is these big slates, right? Especially when you go into detail as much as we do, just keeping a low volume, right? It's so much easier, I see, to go 1-1 today or 2-1 today versus forcing like 5 or 6 plays and going 2-4 or, even 3-3, right? So like just because you see a big slate, sometimes we see a big slate and we light up. We see a lot of things that we like. Sometimes we see a big slate and we're like, damn, I got 1 play. And it's totally fine, right? We don't have to be forcing stuff out here because there's always more NBA to bet tomorrow. If you leave some money on the table, it's better than than losing some money, based on a play that not going your way. So
Yeah.
I like the low volume I see. I'm still continue to stay low volume as well. 4 or 5 plays max for me, but today I think I'm only gonna have about 3.
Yeah, I like it. All right, well, this is the end of the show. Thanks to all who tuned in on YouTube and on Twitter. If you are on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. This show is also now in podcast form, so you can find it on Spotify, on Apple, and some other the podcast platforms as well. Make sure you leave a 5-star review as well. 5-star that helps me get more visible to other people who have not seen or listened to the show. I know that doesn't help you guys much, but it only takes a click, and it does help me a lot, like way more than you expect. And also with that said, always end the show with this, guys. Whether you fade us or follow us, it is on you guys to make that call. Good luck with all your action. Till next time, peace.